It's all about banking with people. You do business with people. You don't do business as a number.
Without banks like this helping the local people, it would be very, very hard.
There was a time when the local bank was a pillar of a rural community, and many transactions were sealed with a handshake and on a first-name basis. With the emergence of huge, too-big-to-fail banks, the local banker has been replaced by a mega bandit who can chip away at your savings with fees, penalties, and more fees. There are, however, still some community banks whose corporate culture treasure personal relationships with customers who are much more than a source of fees and penalties. First State Bank, with locations in Wheatland, Torrington, and Guernsey, Wyoming, still upholds the values of true community banking in rural America. These values may seem old-fashioned, if not forgotten, in today's world of impersonal banking, but it is allowing the bank and the local community to thrive, grow, and compete even during tough economic times.
Local community banks like First State Bank are so important to rural America because they provide the fuel that drives the engine of rural America. In other words, they provide all of the funding for all of the business and all of the consumer needs of the communities and the areas that they serve.
Local community banks were established as financial institutions where the relationship between the individual customers and businesses were friends helping friends. First State Bank opened its doors in Wheatland, Wyoming in January 1981. Since then, it has grown to nearly $300 million in assets. This bank has always made a personal and financial commitment to the various programs and organizations in the communities that they serve. They see themselves as a trusted resource you can rely on to understand your personal or small business needs and adapt services in ways that can help you survive and thrive.
They do come out several times a year. They're real interested in what I do, how things are going. This spring we had a hailstorm, and Holly called right away and wanted to know how we fared. We actually had a tornado go through here, and she was concerned that we might have been on the edge of that.
I think the role of a local community bank in rural America is pretty important. You've got individuals who understand the agriculture in the rural areas, whether it's the farming side or the cattle ranching, hay production. It's important that the individuals are there to understand the needs of the producer.
I'd like to deposit that, please.
Okay.
The first day that we started with First State Bank, they recognized us as their customers. We certainly weren't a number. They called us by name.
You come into the door, everybody greets you, everybody is smiling, everyone knows your name, and you know their name, and you know their families.
A company's culture is really about behavior. Company leadership can set the cultural direction, but it can only be defined and executed by the behavior of its people.
This is Holly, can I help you?
First State Bank has defined a very specific corporate culture that they instill in their people to make the bank strong. 10 key principles set the standards: teamwork, acceptance of change, concern for others, commitment, open and honest communication, outstanding customer service, values, pride, conflict resolution, and celebrations to support values. These core elements are incorporated into the training and the behavior of every person who works at the bank.
It all starts with our mission statement. First State Bank is the best place to work and the best place to bank. With that comes happy employees, which builds really good relationships with our customer base.
The Friends Helping Friends vision of the local community bank is increasingly difficult to maintain in today's banking environment. Due to the behavior and misbehavior of the large megabanks, the Dodd-Frank Act, a 2,200-plus page regulatory document, was created. This enormous amount of regulation is making it very difficult for community banks to do business in the way they always have. Personal services that customers expect and rely on are now restricted by federal regulation, and the community banks are forced to seek new and innovative ways to meet their customers' needs while still complying with regulation.
In an effort to comply with all the new regulations associated with Dodd-Frank, First State Bank has employed a full-time compliance officer. This obviously is a necessity for our bank. Unfortunately, positions like this or non-income generating positions.
Understanding the local economy is key to a local community bank standing out as a financial resource to local businesses.
I decided I wanted to start my own business. The conditions were right, and First State Bank had all the personnel and the things to help me get started.
If a banker can understand the business needs of the customers, the bank becomes a trusted advisor and part of a business's success team.
I think they understand my business very well, and that makes it a lot easier when I go in for an operating loan or a loan on a new piece of equipment. They understand the need for it.
This country has been experiencing challenging economic conditions for the last several years, and often a rural community can be hit harder than a more populated setting. The community banker who understands the challenges can deliver personal services, coaching, advice, and other programs that can help families survive and manage their finances better in turbulent times.
They gave you the opportunity to get through those hard times without really saying, you know, well, sorry, we can't help you. We never heard that from First State Bank. It was, we'll help you in any way that we can, and they did. I mean, it was through them that we got through these times.
There are trying times when your financial statement doesn't always end at the end of the year like you wanted it to. And I would have to say that our relationship with First State Bank, we've been able to work that out. We've had some years where we were short, and we sat with our banker and we solved the problem. I mean, it's been a great relationship.
Friends helping friends does not sound like your typical description of the relationships between banks and their customers these days. Fortunately, the people at First State understand the value of a community bank in rural America, and their personal relationships with their customers may allow them to achieve their vision of being the best place to work and the best place to bank. For more information about First State Bank, please log on to www.fsbwy.com.